Welcome to the Sports Investors Daily Podcast, powered by TakingVegas.com. It is Wednesday, February 9th, getting close to the big game. Got some big basketball to speak about, and obviously trying to help all you guys out there make a profit from the wonderful world of sports investing. Good to be with everyone. I'm Chris Hodge. I am joined as always by Richie Tulo. We have a lot to speak about on this Wednesday afternoon. First things first, I want to talk to you guys about the NBA real quick. Obviously, the trade deadline is coming up. That is tomorrow. Stay away from the NBA right now. Lineups are shaky. You don't know if a guy's going to get traded or not. Last night, a couple guys got traded and teams just got annihilated. So I would let the trade deadline come and go. And look, a lot of people who don't treat this like a business, Richie, like you and I treat this as a business, they just want to bet a game. Oh, an NBA game tonight. Well, Golden State's catching points from Utah. Let me bet. The professionals wait as long as they can because there was a college basketball game last night. It was Indiana. Literally 10 minutes before tip-off, they suspended 5 players.
How do you do that?
Right, but now think about it.
How do you get involved in something like that? That's basically... Listen, that's sitting down into a poker game and playing blind.
Playing blind.
Playing blind.
And playing stupid.
Yeah.
So when you treat this as a business, you have to be on call basically until that game goes off. You can't bet a game at 11 o'clock. I laugh about this all the time. People bet games on the internet, 10 hours before they go off. The world can change. Now, if they're betting 100 to 50, 50 to 100.
Especially 50, with COVID. I mean,
the world could change. Now, it's one thing in football when you bet a game early in the week to catch a sharp line, and then that line's going to move one way or the other, and maybe you can hedge or you're getting a better price. But in basketball, these lines are changing. Let me make a better analogy for you guys that you might understand. Think about betting a baseball game and just betting, action, not betting listed pitches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, let's say you're on the Dodgers with Kershaw and you're laying 2-1. And 5 minutes before, opening pitch,
they scratch him.
And you got an opener come in and now that line goes haywire. You have to be careful with this. If you're treating this as a business, as we do, man, you really have to be on call 24/7.
Well, you can never bet, number one, you can never bet baseball unless you bet listed pitches, because the price is predicated on that particular pitcher. So if you're going to sit and, baseball's right around the block. I mean, hopefully, these guys will settle their differences, whatever the case is. But you can't bet a baseball game like that. And getting back into basketball and hoops as opposed to, football, college, or pro, especially if you see one of these overnight lines come out on totals in college basketball. I mean, you see a line of 133.5 at 10 o'clock Eastern time the day before a game, and then you look, even 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, you see a 3-point move into that total, whether it's good or bad. And then you look 5 hours down the road before the game starts, which is an hour from that time, you see another 3 points. There's a 7-point middle there.
That's happening a lot on these
totals. I've never seen it. I don't know well, I do know what it is, and I don't want to share that with everybody if you don't mind, but I do know that COVID's got a lot to do, and there's other parameters that are influencing these totals as well.
So there are a lot of new gamblers out there, and what this podcast is designed to do is to lead you, to guide you, to make this a business, because a lot of people out there just don't know what they're doing. So and we've said this forever. We've done a radio show together, Taking Vegas radio show that's on Saturdays and Sundays all across the country. We've said this forever. The odds maker's job is to not set an accurate number on a game. That's not the odds maker's job.
He wants even action both ways.
Yes, but he wants to confuse you.
Right.
He wants to make you believe that Cincinnati can cover +4 or the Rams could cover -4.
Mm-hmm.
He wants you to believe that, because what does that do? That causes confusion.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you're confused? You make poor decisions. That's what the sports books want. When you talk about the Super Bowl on Sunday, that's a single game board, right? Either the Bengals or the Rams are going to win. Either the game is going to go over or under. That's a game sports books could get hurt on. So what do? They put 1,000 prop bets out there. 1,000 prop bets. Literally, you can get a prop bet on anything. And what does that do? That's just more to look at. that takes you away from the single game board because, yeah, you might bet a prop and you might think it's great. Wow, I'm getting 7-1 on this player to score the first touchdown of the game. Or, if there's a safety in the game, I'll make $500 for my $100 bet.
Well, there's a reason you're getting 7-1.
Correct.
Right, because you got to read. Listen, Chris, what most people don't do, what we do, I think we're pretty much aficionados at it, is we read into the line. Why is this line that? Why is that line this? Listen, when it comes to all the newbies in the betting world, and that's what we call them, it's their maiden voyage for a lot of these guys, whether it's a week or a month or a day, whatever the case may be. This is basically a tutorial for them to learn. Listen, I wish we could put this on everybody's radio while they're driving and put that on a radio and let them listen as to, the nuances and why lines are influenced, why a line that looks too easy at 3 in reality, that line should really, be 5.5, or that line should be 1.5. That's where the confusion comes in. And these prop bets, man, you talk about people's heads spinning.
Oh,
I mean, the thing is, they're like a beautiful girl at the end of the bar. They're very enticing, and they're extravagant. You say to yourself, "Wow, I'm stealing money here." If you were stealing
that's
money,
going to cost me a lot.
Yeah, because that girl's going to cost me something by the end of the night.
Definitely. It's funny. When I do all the interviews I do throughout the week on radio, you do this as well. Everyone's asking about prop bets. I'm like, let's just try to figure out who's going to win the damn game, right? Because that's where we'll make our money. I can care less about, Jamar Chase or, this guy, that guy having X amount. And look, I'll give you some free picks on it, but at the end of the day, that's not where you're going to make your money. If you're going to bet the single game board, hell, bet the single game board. You bet the Bengals to win, bet the Bengals +4, bet the Rams to -4, bet that. But what I said last week on our podcast, and you agree with me, there's a lot of people out there that if they don't do this the right way, they're going to get hurt. They're not being told that right now. If you deposit money, you can't go 4 minutes of a commercial. Any commercial you're watching right now, if it's 3 or 4 minutes long, it doesn't matter if you're watching Desperate Housewives. It doesn't matter, okay? There's a commercial for sports wagering. You got the Manning brothers out there with Holly Berry, who, by the way, looks hot in those commercials.
She's unbelievable.
Cleopatra.
She's unbelievable.
She looks hot in those commercials. They're pumping a sports book. I got something in the mail today from FanDuel. Bet $5, make $280. Like, if you're a sucker, you fall for this nonsense. And that's the people they don't want the smart guys.
No.
You've said it forever on your program. Vegas don't want the guy to walk into a casino with a briefcase with $100,000 to bet one game.
No.
They don't want that guy.
Give me the guy that bets 30 games.
Correct.
That's what they want.
That's what they want because they can get hurt by
Sure.
the guy that bets one game.
And they're not going to comp that guy either.
Oh, they don't.
That guy that's betting 30 games.
I
Come on in. We got a beautiful suite for you, son.
So last time I was in Vegas betting a big game, they gave me 2 drink tickets, and I literally took them and I gave them to the guy next to me.
And you,
like, what the hell is this? 2 drink tickets.
Well, liquor and tap beer.
I mean, are you kidding me? Drink tickets. I can walk to the damn roulette wheel, or the craps table, or blackjack, throw $3,000 down, and they treat you like you're a king.
Yeah.
They give you rooms, free breakfast. Hello, sir. How you doing? Yo, when you do, they fingerprint you when you go try to bet a big game.
They don't want sharpies. They want suckers.
I said,
Listen, I've been in this town forever. This is a town, I hate to say it, folks, it's a town built on suckers.
It really is.
It's built on suckers.
The premise of what we try to do here, and you guys have to allow us to do it for you, is to educate you on how to bet correctly. Because, Richie, you and I have been having this conversation for the last, 7 or 8 years. Now more so than ever. Now it's a market, right? However someone wants to go on TV or radio and try to spin this thing.
It's a market.
It's a market.
It's a market.
There's a price on a game. There's a price on a stock. The team is the company. It's a market. If you're trying to invest in the stock market, what is your goal? Trying to beat the stock market, right? If you bet on sports, what are you trying to do? You're trying to beat the sports book, right? It's a market. And they're pitching it a different way. They're not telling people the truth.
Well,
and that's my problem.
Well, the in-game betting is basically as volatile as it can be. It's a form of same-day options on a ball game. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. Cincinnati's a 4.5 point favorite no matter where you're playing a game. Cincinnati goes to halftime, and they're up 17-10. Okay? They're up 17-10. Now, the comeback in the second half, the Rams are favored in the game. I make the comeback in the second half, depending on how the variables look, how everything is panning out. There's no way the Rams are going to be favored over 7 in the second half. We agree?
100%.
There's no way in the world.
4 or 5.
Right, so what are they going to do? Now they're going to try and confuse people. Are the people going to come back and bet the Rams? The people that got the Rams in teases, the people that got the Rams in all kinds of prop bets, on money line bets, are they looking, straight up bets? Are they looking to salvage half of their bet, whatever the case is? Folks, I'm telling you something right now. Chris is right. This game is all about confusion, and folks, if you can't figure this out sooner than later, you're just going to get chopped up, and this is why we're here. We're here to teach people that is as lucrative as this game can be, it can also be treacherous because it's like having Rita Hayworth walk in front of you every day and something beautiful and say, you know what, follow me, fella. And it just doesn't work that way because you're going to get chopped up in the long run unless, how about this? If you got a blueprint and you got a game plan to doing this, and I'm not talking a one-day blueprint. This is something that you have to put together. You got to put some time into it. We'll put the time into it for most people. That's our job. That's what we do. Most people don't have the time and wherewithal to do this, Chris.
No, they're working 40, 50 hours a week. And look, when you give us a call at 888-9-WIN-NOW, that's 888-994-6669, we're not just giving you a game. And we're not just going to give you Seton Hall tonight. That's going to be the free pick here on the podcast, college basketball, Seton Hall -3.5 over Xavier. You don't just call in and we go, oh, hey, bet Seton Hall and have a nice day. That's not how it works. We've set up, like you just said, the blueprint, the game plan, the strategy.
Well, the conversation starts. That's what starts the wheels in motion, for sure.
100%. And we try to teach people how to look at this as a business.
Right.
Because, I love the saying, it's gone on forever, and it applies to everything, man. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, you feed him forever.
Right.
And that's sports gambling. You could just give a guy a game and don't teach him how to do it. That guy's going to get killed. That guy's going to lose. But if you teach him how to do it the right way, very viable. It's a great way of making money, but it has to be done correctly. If you have 10,000 to your name, you should not be putting 10,000 on a game.
No.
You start off betting 500 to 1,000. 5 to 10% of your bankroll.
Well, disposable income is what you should be playing with.
100%. That's another thing. Never bet more than what you can afford to lose.
Exactly.
But you see out all of these commercials. You got the Mariucci commercial where he does the chalkboard. You got that. But those are few and far between. Like they're just, hey, come on, bet 10, win 500, deposit 1,000, get 3,000. Like that's all they're doing right now. They're trying, and in no other walk of life.
By the way, Mariucci looks better in that commercial than he did with X's and O's when he was coaching.
I never thought he was a good coach.
No, that's what I mean.
I never thought he was a good coach.
No.
But that's what they're doing right now.
Yep.
No other business. You buy a house, you don't get the free one next door, right? You only get the house you purchased.
Yep.
You buy $500 worth of stock, you don't get another $500 for free. No other business. Zero. You buy crypto, you don't get it for free. Oh, sports wagering, come on in, put 1,000. You're gonna get 3,000 for free. People should be like bells and whistles, sirens. Like, what the hell's going on? And like you said, they're getting the newbies in, and it's look, people have the right to gamble. If you make money and you pay your taxes on it, I'm a firm believer no one should tell you what you're able to do with your money.
No, I agree.
You want to go gamble that money? Go ahead. Go gamble that money. But you got to be careful. And here at, the Sports Investors Daily Podcast, again, we're powered by TakingVegas.com. That is our goal. Businessmen, treat this as a business. Do this the right way. Treat it as an investment. When you invest in stuff, there's going to be losses. No one in this world invested in the stock market forever and won on every stock.
No, it's good, but you have to reinvest sometimes too.
Correct. Treat it like that, and the people who do that, Richie, they're going to make money. And if they, come on board and they just let us guide them, like the financial advisor, what do? You call them, you go, okay, what stock do we invest in? That's what we are. And if people just understand that and they don't do it on a whim and they put a strategy and a plan in place with us, we're going to make them a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, but do you want to? What kind of mindset do you want to have when you go into this? Do you want to have a conservative mindset? Me personally, in a field where there really is, I think the beauty of the sports betting world, and we've always looked at it the same way in the same prism, is that there's really no ceiling here. You know, a lot of places you're capped as to what you can do. I mean, here, how about this? The poor guy that breaks his ass all week to make a living, to feed his family, that wants to gamble and do this in a professional manner, it's so hard for that guy. It's so hard for that guy truly to be successful, because you do need, to be honest with you, you do need a bit of recklessness here to take this to the next level. I mean, we're in agreement with that, correct?
Well, there's an inherent risk.
Of course. But a guy who's, you know, he's dependent upon that one particular game, okay, it probably wouldn't work for that guy in the long run, because he'd, number one, he wouldn't have the wherewithal and the gumption to stay in the game and go with the flow. Because, you know, there are ebbs and flows to the betting world. There's ups and downs. And the difference between us, I think what makes us so good is that, the peaks are always peaked up as opposed to the valleys, which are very low. And most people that bet are in the valley, and it's very hard for them to get out of the valley.
Well, a lot of it is emotion, too.
Yeah. Well, we talk about emotion. We've
man.
been talking about it for 15 years.
Yeah, this team screwed me. What happened? Well, 3 years ago, I had, Kentucky, and they missed 3 free throws, and I lost the game. So, okay. So you're going to take something that happened in 2018 or 2019, and you're going to let it affect what you bet in 2022. Makes no sense whatsoever.
Your memory bank in the betting world has probably got to be somewhere in the vicinity between 3 and 4 hours, however long it takes to play that game.
I have no memory,
and
really.
Then,
That's it.
You turn the page, and then, the next day is the next day.
I always laugh at that. I'm like, listen, what happened yesterday, let alone 4 or 5 years ago, what happened yesterday has no bearing on what is going to happen today. We heard it all the time with Phillip Rivers. More than any other NFL player, we would give out the charges, and, I'm not betting Phillip Rivers. What the hell did he do to you? 6 years ago, we threw a pick 6 against Indianapolis. I'm not betting him. Heard it all the time. It was so amazing to me.
Well, talk to the average guy who's been betting for 20 or 30 years. Ask him 2 questions. What was the biggest worst beat you ever had in your life? Oh, that's easy. What was the greatest win you had?
Can't tell you.
Okay, now if he does tell you, say, what was the second worst bad beat you ever had? He could tell you that verbatim. What was the second greatest win you ever had? That he won't be able to tell you.
It's the funniest stuff. I had a guy with Derrick Rose, right? He was like, boy, I'll tell you, I had a lot of money on them boys there in the national championship game. I go, national championship game? That was like, when the hell did Derrick Rose play in the national championship game? That was over 10 years ago. Them boys, they missed a lot of free throws. I'm not anything Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose has been on 9 different teams. Yeah. But you're not going to bet a team Derrick Rose is on because he missed free throws in a national title game 12 some odd years ago with Memphis. And that's the gambler right there. And that mentality literally makes no sense. 0 sense. If you continue with that mentality, you're going to lose. If you go into sports wagering without a plan, you're going to lose. So let's explain our plan, our initial investment program.
I'm in.
So if you start with $1,000, right? Mm-hmm. It's a 4-game package. Mm-hmm. Okay. And our goal is to maximize profit while minimizing the risk. That is our goal. Now, like we just said, there is always inherent risk when it comes to sports wagering. But you have to try to maximize the profit while you minimize that risk. So you put $1,000 on the first game. That's your first game. That's your bet, $1,000. That wins. Now you have $2,000. Now you're going to put $2,000 on the second game. But what I want people to understand, and I want to explain, your risk is still only $1,000.
Exactly.
Because you started with $1,000, you won $1,000, so you're still risking the money that you have. So you put $1,000 on the first game, you put $2,000 on the second game. Now you have $4,000. What you do is you pull $1,000 back. Mm-hmm. There goes your risk. You have no more risk. What you started with, you got back. 2 games. You got your money back. Now you're going to put $3,000 on the third game. Once that wins, you have $6,000. Now you pull 25% back. That's $1,500.
That's $2,500 dragged out.
Correct,
basically,
but a $1,500 profit.
Right, and you basically had your $1,000 to start with, so you basically have $2,500 in escrow right now.
$2,500 in escrow, but no matter what, let's say you bet the 4th game and it loses. Okay, that sucks, but you made $1,500.
Exactly.
So that is the minimizing the risk. But that 4th game wins,
And you can prorate that on any number you want. You could do it for $500 to $1,000. You could do it for $5,000 to $50,000.
100%. but use that mathematical structure, right? Because all you got to do is go 2-0, and you physically cannot lose money. Now, if you do this 10 times throughout the course of the year, and let's say you win 5 4-game sets. Let's say you turn 5,000 into 50,000 5 times. That's 250,000.
Sure.
But let's say you lose five sets.
Right.
Well, you only lost 5,000 on those 5 sets.
Right.
So you lost 25,000 with the juice, 27.5. Okay,
Right.
you get that. That's a profit of over $220,000.
Yeah, that don't suck.
No.
No.
So this is what we try to explain to you guys in terms of, when you call 888-9-WIN-NOW, like I said earlier, it's not just get on Seton Hall tonight. Have a nice day. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. No, that's not it. That's, hey, what do you have? Where are you betting? What are you comfortable with? What do you make? What can you put towards? There's a lot of questions. We do a big interview.
Well, one of the questions is, conversely, now I think that where we have our greatest success is with the guys and gals that, they look at 10-game blocks. The last 10 games they played. You know how many? We're almost going to laugh by the end of this conversation here. But how many of those people that we've talked to that have hit 7 out of 10 games and got nothing to show for it?
Lost money. Lost money.
How many guys have got 8 out of 10 games and got nothing to show for it?
Lost money.
Because they don't know how to bet. It's, maximizing, minimizing is.
And just to explain that, because we do have a lot of new people out there. Yes, you can go 8-2 and lose money. Here's how. You're an idiot, number one. But here's how. If you bet, let's say 4 games for $1,000 a pop, and you go 4-0, great. But now you're feeling good. You're feeling your oats. Now you're trying to have a week. Making $4,000 isn't good enough for you. So now what you do? You put $5,000 on the 5th game. You risk $5,500 to win $5,000. What happens? That game loses. You're 4-1. You're 80%, and you're down $1,500.
And listen, it's not like this doesn't happen. It happens way too often.
They count on it.
Yeah.
They want that to happen. They want you to not be able to help yourself. What do they do when you're playing blackjack, right? God forbid you're up. What do? They try to keep you at that table as long as possible. Yep. They won't even allow you to leave. If you start with $2,500 and turn that into $25,000, they think all types of things about you. You're counting cards. Somehow you're cheating. You're getting tipped off because no one's supposed to win. Now, heaven forbid, you try to walk away with that money. Whoa, come on. We'll clear a table just for you. They try to keep you there as long as possible because they know the longer they keep you playing, you're going to lose.
Yeah, it's a grind. They got to grind you down.
They have to.
They have to.
What is very important in this life is the only way to fix a problem is to admit what that problem is. So if you're gambling and you're doing it the wrong way, you have to admit to yourself, I'm doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I need help at this. And that's where we come in.
Self-identification in the betting world is probably the hardest adjustment for most people to make. And the people that are willing to make it, because there's one thing that's the stumbling block that stands in front of every self-identified person. It's called one thing. It's called ego.
Ego. Pride.
Ego is the great killer to sports bettors.
One of the 7 deadly sins? Is pride or ego? It's pride, right? One of the 7 deadly sins? I'm not a religious person. I just believe in being a good person. But yeah, that is a good 7 deadly sin. But guys, look, you have to do this the right way. Because if you don't do it the right way, you're going to get hurt. And you take, listen, I'm 42 years old going on 43. Richie Tulo, you got me by 20 years.
Yep.
You don't look at all. I mean, you get this guy on a golf course, hits the hell out of the ball. I remember when we golfed and you hit a friggin' bomb of a drive. And we were in the same car together. And this guy gets in. He goes, how does it feel to get outdriven by an old man by 30 yards? I'm like, God darn it, whatever. But Richie has been in this game for over 40 years. His expertise, what he does in this industry is second to none. So, you get him on the phone as your advisor, man. Consider yourself blessed. And, the things that he could do for you, the doors that he can open up for you to make money.
Just ask questions. I mean, to me, the most important thing, starting any kind of conversation with me or you, is that's the tip. That's what we got to know where your head's at. Most gamblers, we said it earlier in the show, that they don't have that blueprint. That blueprint is not put together for them. They'll just do, they got this laissez-faire attitude that, yeah, you know what? I don't need you to lose my money. I can lose my money on my own. You know how many of those guys I've heard of?
Dumb.
Those guys, nobody can help them.
Dumb. No one
They
can help
are
them.
useless unto themselves.
Yeah, they're going to get destroyed. And that's what we're trying to do at Sports Investors Daily here on this podcast. We're trying to protect you. Hey, look, there's a lot of pitfalls out there, okay? And I'll do a podcast on the pitfalls of gambling. I've done that a couple times, but I'll keep hammering it home. You have to avoid those pitfalls. Yeah, if you're walking through a landmine field, what is your main goal? To not step on a damn landmine.
Yeah.
That's the main goal, right? Not get blown up. Gambling is the same way. It's a landmine. It's a landfill. You know, you gotta avoid those landfields and those mines, and we will help you in the best way possible. So give us a call at 888-9-WIN-NOW. Now, going to give you a couple free picks here on the podcast. I already mentioned Seton Hall, -3.